Compound interest. Compound interest. Compound interest is like a snowball. Snowball rolls down a hill, and as it rolls down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can just imagine that as you putting in some money every year, and on top of that, there is some interest. And so, as you do that, over the years, as your snowball rolls down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and once it has already ran down the hill, you are then left with a huge pile of cash or a huge snowball. The most important part of the snowball is how big it is at the start and how much money you put in to get it as big as possible at the beginning. Well, throughout the entire long run, but the beginning is the most important part. So, here is an example of a real life version of this. So here we have a photo, and it says compound interest, who will earn more? Sorry, my mouse keeps glitching. This example shows how an earlier person that takes advantage of compound interest, the more time money has to grow. So you have investor 1, investor 2. The first investor starts at age 25. They set around $5,000 a year for 10 years in a row. No more investments after age 34. So they do it for, I guess it looks like 9 years. $5,000 a year. And at age 65, $787,180. Investor 2 starts at 35, so he starts 10 years later than investor 1. Invests $5,000 each year for 30 years in a row until reaching age 65. So, also he is left at, oh my gosh, my mouse is being so weird. $611,730 at age 65. So if you can tell, I'm just not even going to touch my mouse anymore. When at age 65, investor 1 has more than investor 2 because she started earlier. Because the earlier you start, the more important, and the more money you put in at the start, the more important. So I guess I missed that part as well. I didn't say that before. So yeah. So the point is it's also at 8% interest rate. The point is that this will give you an advantage when it comes to retiring earlier. I mean, this is at age 65, so maybe you'll retire earlier, but also those last few years, once you get to your 60s, just by waiting another year or something could add another 50,000 or something on top of it. Once you get to those older years, the amount of money that adds on just by waiting 1 year is so much bigger. So it just depends what you do with that. One thing I would do is you could leave the money in this compound interest pot we have here, and every year just take out the money that you make from it, assuming that on here it says 8%, which would be something like the S&P, which you can invest in what I would say SPY or VOO, which are two stocks that are probably the best to do that. It's a basket of the top 500 stocks. So just by believing in the American market, you are expecting to have 8%. It's historically proven that this is going to happen. So might not. That's the average. But yeah. So you can do that. I do QQQ, which is a part of NASDAQ, which is the top 100 stocks. So it's a little bit different. You do get more money, but you can also lose more. So it has positives and it has negatives. So the safer option would be VOO or SPY. So, like I said, you can sell the profits year after year. Let's say it's 50,000 if you have or no, if it's 8% and maybe you get to $1 million, just to get a big round number, 8%, you get 80,000 a year, not including taxes, unless you live in a state with no capital gains tax, which I suggest you do if you decide to sell the profits after retiring and doing that from this compound interest that you have created. And but if you don't, I think it's like 5% is like usually what you'll have in most states, or maybe 10%. I don't really know all of the states, but I know there are at least like 10 that don't have any, which I'm probably going to move to eventually. So you can do that. This just gives you an edge on everyone else that doesn't really pay attention to finances, for retiring early, retiring smart, and just being able to live life better when you're older than having, let's say, maybe you do just save up $1 million somehow, and over time it just decreases and decreases and decreases, whereas if the average is 8%, and every year you just take out that 80,000, and then all of a sudden 80,000 gets put back on top the next year, take it out, you just have like infinite money almost. And then once you die, or before you do, you can like give it to your kids or something like that. I don't know. Just whatever you want. So I would say it's factually a good idea to put it into the stock market, which is one of the things you can do for this. There are many other available options, but this is probably the easiest and least complicated way to go about compound interest for retiring. So that's what I would suggest. You can do your own research if you'd like, but this is what I am suggesting to you. So yes, it's factually proven. People who do this are definitely not gonna be ahead. I mean, it's proven right here. Even if you do it later, you're still gonna have less. So the earlier, the better. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.